Hey guys, Pastor Sam here. As you take a look outside, you can tell things are starting to change. Spring is setting in, grass is turning green, flowers are blooming, trees are budding, right? It's this reminder of the seasons, the different seasons that we have in the year. And just as we have different seasons of the year, there's different seasons in the church calendar. And we are coming to the climax of the Lenten season as we are right in the midst of Holy Week, right sandwiched between Good Friday, where Jesus was crucified and died, and Resurrection Sunday, where God raised him from the dead. And this year is unlike any other year where typically the church would be full because the tomb is empty, right? The good news of Jesus' death and resurrection brings people together, saves them by God's grace, and the church would be full, but this year it's going to be empty, just like the tomb. But even though the church is empty, the church is full of stories. God's people have all kinds of stories of how God's grace has found them, how God's grace is at work in their life. And so we wanted to compile some of these stories and share them with you about how God is at work. And so we're sharing with you that Jesus has changed us, that we are not the same.
10 years ago, I was very far from God. I was living life my own way and filling it with things that gave me a false sense of hope through alcoholism, through drug use, through unhealthy relationships. I was living life my own way and thought that was okay. But thankfully, by the grace of God, through Christ, the Spirit opened my eyes to see that my only true hope and joy and satisfaction is found in Him. And it is by grace alone, through faith alone, that I stand here today, not the same.
I used to constantly compare myself to other people, and that led to a lot of anxiousness and insecurity and self-righteousness. But when I came to really understand that on the cross, Jesus accomplished all that I'll ever need for worth and acceptance and identity, that the cross was enough, I was finally free to be real about my brokenness and truly love other people without comparing myself to them. And because of that, I'm changed.
I have found that by following Jesus, I have hope, peace, contentment, and love to share with everyone.
When I was younger in Cambodia, I always searching of the Creator. And then when I came to the United States, I found that God created heaven and earth and sent Jesus to die on the cross for my sin. And I'm so glad that He is my Savior. And I'm just grateful that I found the sacred city as my hometown, home base. And thank you so much.
Jesus has significantly changed my life in the areas of being in control and trusting Him. I now give up control and trust Him that He has the best for my life.
ខ្ញុំជឿថាព្រះគ្រឹះជាជំនឿក្នុងចិត្តរបស់ខ្ញុំព្រះអង្គនឹងជួយខ្ញុំឲ្យចាកផុតពីទុក្ខភ័យទាំងអស់នៅវីរុសកូវីដ -19 នេះដើម្បីឲ្យជៀសផុតនៅសន្តិសុខនៅភ័យនៅទាំងឡាយនៅក្នុងគ្រានេះតែម្ដង
I am so thankful that I have Jesus over everything in my life. I used to find my joy and identity in what other people thought of me, but I am learning to find my identity in Jesus alone. The gospel reminds me that I am accepted and loved because of the work of Jesus on my behalf.
I really like to be in control. I love to make plans and I love for things to go smoothly. But last year, the Lord brought me to a season where I had no control. In fact, He showed me that my idea of control was nothing compared to the power and goodness He has toward His children. I'm thankful for that season and for the way it deepened my trust in my good and perfect Heavenly Father.
I think the thing that boils down to what I've learned in life is to let go and let God. He will do the best He can for you, and just accept it.
I have been blessed to walk my Christian life with a wonderful family and friends. And I'm so thankful for where God has placed me in this world.
I've struggled throughout life to try and find my identity, to find who I am. Am I a mother? Am I a wife? Am I a teacher? Who am I? And through Jesus, I have been able to rest in knowing that I am a daughter of Christ, that I am loved, that I am accepted, and that my identity is in Him. And there is freedom in that, and there is joy there. And that is how Jesus has changed my life.
Through our study of the gospel, I'm learning that everything we do should point to and glorify God. And just this whole way of thinking has changed my life. It's made me a better person. I approach people in a different way, and I have a lot more peace.
I became a Christian at a young age, probably freshman year in high school. Became pretty strong in my faith and growing up that way in college and into our marriage. But over a period of time, I became quite a bit of a cynic, somebody who prided himself quite a bit with my intellect and just really questioned whether or not this Jesus or this resurrection was true. Christ really has grabbed a hold of my heart, really probably in the last 4 years, and has that cynicism. It's still there sometimes, but He has slowly helped me to walk away from that and to embrace the true faith of Christianity, and praise Jesus for that.
Jesus has taught me in the last year to slow down and take the time to enjoy Him. He has shown me that when I am not enjoying Him, the life that I am living becomes one of heartless religion, but rather when I take the time to experience Him more deeply and enjoy Him more fully, that a life of service and glorifying Him will be something that naturally flows from me.
All of my life I've been faithful to Him, although sometimes I wavered, as everyone does. I think I've found my strongest faith with the death of my 2 sons and my husband. I didn't want to lose any of them, but at the time they died, it was a blessing that they went to be with Jesus. And I thank Him for doing that for me. And I look forward to the time when we will be together again.
At our MCs, that we did a series called The Story of God, and how that impacted me and how it taught me that this that I'm living in, this is the story of God, and how God created all of this, and He created me, and He knew that I would fail. He knew that I would be insecure. He knew that I would be self-centered and selfish, so He sent His Son to die for me, and here I am now, alive and well and healthy, worshiping the Lord and having an opportunity to be there with my brothers and sisters and live this wonderful life of community that has been opened up to me.
Jesus has changed my life in countless ways, but one way where it really sticks out is in my work. That's where I used to find my identity, my worth, but Jesus has done the work. It's finished.
For me, I've always struggled with what other people think of me and wanting to make sure people like me and have a high view of me. And through having a relationship with Jesus, He's shown me that I don't have to find my identity in other people's opinions, and that I am going to fail, and that's okay, because Jesus loves me no matter what.
Jesus has changed our life at Sacred City by being more missional and more intentional with gospel hospitality. We now attend church regularly and spend time with our extended church family.
My whole life, I've always chased after the approval of others. But now in the gospel, I've been set free because of the work of Jesus, and He fully accepts me just the way I am. And I don't have to look for other people's approval to find my identity, because He says that I am a beloved daughter of His.
One of the biggest ways that Jesus has impacted me is by teaching me to be intentional in my marriage, intentional with my family, my friends, and even at work. We are called to be disciples and called to love one another, and that has been one of the biggest impacts that He's had in my life.
I would say more than anything, God has
God has honestly humbled my heart in the past couple of years. I really made life about me, about my success, and about what I accomplished in life. And what I found was there was a bunch of emptiness in that. And I think more than anything, He showed me how to serve people well. He showed me how to really care for others well, and just the joy and just the fulfillment that is in that. It's unreal, and it is nothing that I ever thought it would be.
Before Jesus, I struggled with a lot of PTSD from some trauma that I went through when I was younger, and since knowing Jesus, that happens a lot less. And even though I still struggle with it off and on and from time to time, when I start to feel those levels of anxiety rising up, I can take a step back and remember that God is good, that He wants good for me, that He loves me and He cherishes me. And because of the relationship I have with Him through the cross and through the work of Jesus, I can rest knowing that I am safe in the arms of my Father.
The painting that you see behind me represents the time when I surrendered my life to Jesus. I heard the story of Jesus calms the storm, and I realized that God has never left me. I've never been in the boat alone, and that He would never leave me or forsake me. Today, I look at that painting and it reminds me of not being in control. And as much as I want to be, with everything going on with COVID-19, that actually that God is great and that I don't have to be in control.
I used to try to find self-worth in a lot of things: friendships, relationships, food, fun, anything and everything that I could get my hands on. It seemed like I was trying to find some kind of meaning for my life inside of it. But I found that those things just left me broken and empty and desiring more. So it wasn't until I met Christ that things changed. I found that there was someone that I could be satisfied in, because all of the work was done on my behalf, and I no longer had to do my best or try my hardest to be satisfied or to find meaning. My life got meaning because of what Christ did, so that's why I'm not the same.
As a young adult, I started using drugs and alcohol to escape from reality. I was selfish, a proclaimed atheist, and I didn't care about anybody but myself. After a drug overdose, I realized that my actions had been hurting other people and something needed to change. Now, over 10 years later, I can look back and see how God has redeemed me. The walk has not been easy, but thankfully there's grace. And I can truly say that I am saved by grace.
I would say for me, I have lived most of my life with a partial gospel identity. I knew that Christ died for me. I knew that He paid the price for my sins. But it wasn't until recently that I came to realize that because of what He has done, when God looks at me, He doesn't see my faults and my failures. He doesn't see my sins. He sees the righteousness of Christ that was purchased for me on my behalf, and that is why I'm not